Pub Quiz. I'm your host, Claire Maxted from Wild Ginger Running, and with me I have got today very special guest, Nigel Maddocks from the Manx Mountain Marathon organisation team. How are you tonight, Nigel?
Yeah, very well, thank you. I'm quite excited it's always good to have something to do rather than run.
Yeah, it's good. And how is the situation at the moment over there on the Isle of Man?
I suppose it's fairly similar to the UK, as in we're sort of under lockdown. The borders are closed. We can still go out for a run. It's probably a little less restrictive. It is, if we want to go for a short drive or a cycle to somewhere, we can. But I suppose that's the advantage of being in a small island, population 85,000. It's quite rural, so it's easier to avoid people, rather than being in a big centre.
Yeah, I've definitely found that because I live in a small town. I could easily get out onto the fields and onto the trails. So all the talk of, when there's talk about runners versus walkers and who's doing really bad and who's really inconsiderate on the trails, it just doesn't happen around here because there's so much space. Yeah. And so obviously the Manx Mountain Marathon was due to take place this weekend. It's tomorrow, wasn't it, on the Saturday?
It was.
Yeah, and I was going to come over and Joss Naylor was going to hand out prizes. What's the feeling on the island having to cancel all these races?
I mean, it was obviously disappointing, but I think originally we were quite optimistic we may still be able to hold it because at the time there was no cases over here. But then things, as in the UK, they moved quite quickly. So within sort of 10 days, the borders closed. And then once that happened, we pretty much knew that we couldn't hold the event because even if you did arrive over here, you'd have to self-quarantine for 14 days. And I guess you'd have to be fairly keen to come here 2 weeks in advance just to do the race.
Yeah, that would be pretty keen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you just have to accept it, really.
I'd be up for that. That'd be cool. So just tell us a little bit about the race before we start the quiz, because we are going to do a special quiz round all about the Manx Mountain Marathon. Do you just want to tell us a little bit about the race, like how far it is, where it goes, and maybe a few of the nicer points of interest on the way?
Yeah, so the race itself starts in Ramsey, which is up in the north of the island, and it pretty much goes in a south direction, and pretty much every hill you see in between will go up and down. So the race itself is about 31 miles, depending on your route choice. I think it's got 2,500 metres of climbing. But most of the climbing you actually get done quite early. So the first peak in the race is North Barrule. Then you've got a ridge, and then you go up to the highest peak. Then we'll come back down, and then the southern section is quite scenic because it's quite unique, I think, in the Isle of Man, because you can run up high but still be by the sea as well. And then you finish down in Port Erin, which is like a nice little beach resort. And then we have the presentation at the Raad Cafe.
It's really lovely, and I particularly love that bit where you go all the way down to Fleshwick Bay, or is it Fleshick Bay?
Yeah, or Fleshick we call it.
Yeah, Fleshick Bay, and then you go up for that final bit over Bradda Head, and the views there are just stunning, aren't they? Down to across the sea, back from where you've come from, you can see your whole route from there if it's a good day, and then just across there into Port Erin. It's just such a beautiful little fishing town, isn't it?
Yeah, I think being local, I suppose we take it for granted, but I think if you're coming from across, as we call it, it's quite a unique situation to run in them conditions or have that scenery.
Yeah, it is. It's really beautiful, and I really enjoyed doing. I did the Raad path. You probably run that loads. Yeah, yeah, and you probably run that a fair bit yourself. And so doing that 100 miles all the way around the outside was just really cool. If anyone wants to watch that, I probably should link up to it in the film description below, because I did it over 6 days and there's a film of each day. I'll link up to that in the YouTube description below. Okay. So, you've prepared some really great questions tonight, Nigel. I'm really looking forward to this. Shall we get going with the first question?
We should, yeah. So, some of them are, I wouldn't say any of them particularly hard, but we'll see how we go. I don't know whether there's any locals participating. They may have a slight advantage, but so the first question, and I had to be careful just before not to actually mention the answer here, but so the first question is, the highest point on the course is reached at the summit of which peak?
Whoa.
So if you can name the peak, and even if you give me the elevation in meters or feet, that'd be impressive.
So the highest point on the course.
The highest point on the course, yeah.
Yeah. I'm just going to pop that question up on the bottom of the screen for everybody to have a look at. So what summit is the highest point of the course? Because that may or may not be the highest summit on the island. Who knows?
It could be, yeah. So you ready for the answer?
We haven't had any answers yet because there's a delay of about 30, maybe 40 seconds. But yeah, maybe we should also give a bonus point to the height of that summit if anybody actually knows the height of the summit. Oh, we've got some answers coming in now. And also, Nigel, I should let you know that I do a comedy answer as well. So there's a point awarded for whoever, because some people just have no clue, so they just put the funniest answer that they can do. And also, I need to mention to everybody, no Googling. It's all just a bit of fun, everyone. So let's no Wikipedia. Cool. So we've got some answers coming in. Carl Lowther is going for Killian Jornet, as he always does. That's it. I think that's a comedy answer.
Yeah.
So that's not the highest point. So yeah, we've got some answers coming in now. I'll start reading some of them out to you. So John reckons it's Snaefell at 620 metres. Guy Greatorex thinks it's Fleshick. Tom thinks it's Snaefell as well, and he's going for 2,063 foot. John Airy also thinks Snaefell over 2,000 feet. John says Greba. Oren says Snaefell. Chrissy says 1,142 feet. And Chloe is going for Fleshick as well. Fleshick is a bay. I think I mentioned it before. So that's a little clue there. Jan G has gone for Snaefell 626 metres-ish. So Sebastian says he's never been to the Isle of Man, and this is the first time I've ever heard about the Manx Mountain Marathon, so I might be at a slight disadvantage here. Yes, well that just means that you have to book for next year's event, Seb, and we'll all see you there, because you'll know all about it by then.
Exactly.
So, would you like to reveal to us the answer there, Nigel?
So it was interesting there how a few people said Fleshick, but actually Fleshick is a bay, and it does climb to a mountain, but it's nowhere near the elevation of the highest peak, which is Snaefell. So a lot of people were close there. The actual figure was 621 metres, or 2,036 foot.
Okay, lots of people were quite close then. So John, who said Snaefell 620 metres, he said it first.
Yeah.
So,
I suppose we can give him that.
Yeah, so we'll give him the point. Tom Hughes also got close with Snaefell at 2,063 feet, but you said it's 2,036?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, so nearly there, Tom. And
Tom should know better because he's local.
He probably just typed it in the wrong way around. Brilliant. That's great. And then Tom has also gone for Maddocks Mountain. And Chrissy TV says she thought Manx was Manchester.
Sorry, one second. I've just got a delivery guy ringing me.
Oh, okay.
I've ordered some vegetables for my mother.
Cool. I'll do the second question while you deal with the vegetables. Yeah. Okay. Right. We're going to go on to the second question. Just whilst we... maybe I should mute.
Oh, yeah. It was actually my mother. I'll let her know.
I'll just mute him. I've muted him for a second.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So the next question is...
Okay. I think we're... ready again now?
You ready again now?
Yeah, it was just a delivery guy to say he's dropped off a tray of vegetables to my mother.
Okay, cool.
Because she's self-isolating at home, so...
Yeah, you kind of got to deal with these things as they come up, haven't you? Brilliant. Okay, well, I didn't actually read out the second question, so if you want to read it out now, that would be great.
Okay, so second question is how many times does the course cross the famous TT course?
So this is a number answer then.
Yeah.
So it could be once, it could be twice, it could be nothing, couldn't it?
Could be 0, yeah.
Could be 0.
I actually got this wrong myself when I asked the question to myself and then realised I was wrong, but
yeah,
I had to adjust my answer.
Yeah, so how many times does the course cross the famous TT course? So anybody who's heard of the Isle of Man will know about the famous TT course where the people race around it at breakneck speeds on motorbikes. Really, really famous. Sadly, that's also been cancelled this year. And we're getting some guesses coming in. So I think everybody is just giving a wild guess, because I mean, if you didn't know that, Nigel, then how are we supposed to? Cool, there's loads of guesses coming in. They're all like popping up. And maybe there could be a bonus point for anybody who's watching from the Isle of Man about actually where the course crosses the TT course, so the names of the places where it crosses. I'll give you a clue, it's not Fleshick. Great, so got loads of answers coming in. I'll just start reading out a few for you, Nigel. So Carl says 3. Maybe it's 3. John says 4. Seb says 7. There's a lot of a lot of road crossings there. Maeve says 4. John says 8. Oh, Chrissy says 1. Getting close, Chrissy. Getting close. Philip says 2. Craig says 3. Chloe says 3. A lot of people going for 3. Lots more 3s. Oren says 2. Tom says 1. Jan 2. Alex 6. Richie says sneaky one, that Nigel. Guy's going to say none. He's going for the call my bluff option. Craig says Ian says 2. Do you know who Ian is?
Probably, yeah. There's a few Ians over here, but I could probably guess.
Yeah. Jeanette says 636. So that is probably a comedy answer just there. Jeanette is my sister-in-law, so that would explain it. Thank you, Jeanette.
A lot of marshals.
Yeah, a lot of marshals. Oren is going for where they are as well, so he said Black Hut and Greba. And Craig says Black Hut and Greba from Ian Callister. And Chris Kirk is here. Chris Kirk is also one of the organisers, and he says 2. I think we're going to have to bar all the organisers from us from answering. And Robin Townsend says 7. Okay, so Nigel, do you want to reveal the actual number, and I'll see who's put the right number first?
Yeah, so Oren's spot on, actually. It is twice, and it is at Black Hut and Greba.
Fantastic. So it was actually Philip that said 2 first. I'm presuming that was a guess. I'm hoping you weren't Googling that, Phil. So that's fab. You get the point for that, Phil. That's wicked. And then a comedy answer probably goes to Jeanette for saying 636. And then bonus point to Oren for Black Hut and Greba. Oren bonus. Cool. Okay. Great. Cool. Okay. Question 3.
So yeah, it's question 3. As we mentioned his name before, Joss Naylor. He won the race in 1973, but the circumstances in which he won it were quite controversial because he skipped a part of the course. So the question is, which part of the course did Joss Naylor skip when he won in 1973?
Oh, controversial. Yeah, so what happened there then? Why did he decide to skip part of the course?
Well, I think he was in a rush to get home, because I think he came over on the Friday night, and obviously the race is on the Saturday. But obviously he's a sheep farmer, and I assume he had to get back to reach the ferry to take him to probably Heysham at the time, so he could get back to attend to his sheep, because he would have done it in, assuming the start time would have been 8 o'clock. He would probably do it in, say, 5 hours, so he could quite easily get the afternoon ferry back and be home by tea time.
Oh, brilliant. So he didn't hang around to help present prizes or anything?
No, I'm hoping next year, but...
Yeah. Well, we have got some good comedy answers coming in for this one, because I'm sure that anyone who hasn't done the race before will not know this at all. It is really interesting trivia, and the reason that he missed out a section of the course is is quite funny because apparently there was no actual checkpoint there, so strictly speaking he didn't break any rules. Maybe I'll have to ask him about that next time I see him. There's some amusing things coming in. So John says Joss Naylor would have skipped the hardest part. I don't know if he would have done that. Maeve says the big mountain. Half a point there, I think. Half a point, because it is a bit of a mountain. Chrissy has gone for the part after the checkpoint 8. So maybe it's a good effort, I think, there. Sebastian thinks he missed out Snaefell. Craig says, Ian says Fleshwick. Tom Hughes says Bradder Head. And Carl said he won while skipping. Incredible. Kurt is more concerned that he skipped the pub afterwards. Oh, I thought Carl was saying he won while skipping, like a little girl skipping. He means missing a bit of the course. Yeah. Oren reckons it's South Barrule. Guy says it's near Graham Memorial. Is there a Graham Memorial in the Isle of Man?
Yeah, that's up on the TT course.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's a good guess then. Chloe says Fleshwick. I think Chloe's answer is always going to be Fleshwick. And Robin said he skipped right to the end and he ran on the road from Fleshwick, maybe, Chris says. So even the organisers don't necessarily know the answer to this. That's interesting. Okay, so one person has got this right. Would you like to reveal the answer to question 3 there, Nigel?
So the answer, I suppose you could accept both Fleshwick or Bradder for this, because they're effectively the same area, but it is correct. He got to Fleshwick and then took the road section to Port Erin at the finish. Because, as you say, there wasn't an actual checkpoint that he had to go to on the Bradder Head or Bradder Cairn.
So does that mean that he still won then? Is he allowed to win like that? Or did people go, oh no, the race route goes over the top there?
I think people sort of realised that he was miles ahead anyway. And he didn't really strictly break any rules. And I suppose it'd be quite hard for a race organiser to disqualify someone like Joss Naylor from a race. So we thought we'd be diplomatic and give him the win.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't born at the time even, but if I was, I would have let him win.
Yeah. I suppose if he's miles away from everyone else, if it's neck and neck and he just peels off at Fleshwick and the other person goes over Bradder Head, then it's not quite as fair.
Yeah.
But that's good. So who should we award the comedy award to? John said the hardest part. Chrissy said the part after checkpoint 8. Is it after checkpoint 8?
I think it's later than checkpoint 8, because I think Bradder is normally round about, because remember we have these little dibber things and there's 12 checkpoints, and we use them up, so it would have been probably after 11 or 12.
Yeah.
Or before 12, I'd say.
I reckon John saying the hardest part is the funniest answer there. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I'd go with that.
Yeah, cool. Let's go with that. So the first person to say either Fleshwick or Bradder was Craig. One Craig Mount. Is that Craig or is it Ian? I'm going to put Ian because he's put Ian.
I think that's Ian Collister. That would be.
Is that his address? One Craig Mount.
I think it's his house name.
Oh, okay. I didn't.
But Ian's ran the race, I think, probably about at least 30 times.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
I think he's ran it more than anybody else. Yeah.
Oh, that should be a quiz question. Should we put that on at the end for everybody, just to check that they're all paying attention?
Yeah, I'd have to check the answer myself. But the thing is, I'd have to ask Ian to find the answer.
Yeah, we could just bar Ian from answering, and then we could ask him at the end. Okay, how many times Ian has run the race? Okay, we'll ask that one at the end, and everyone can pile in. Cool. Okay, so question number 4. Let's go for it.
So question number 4, I remember running this race actually, so that's a clue. So it's fairly recently. So the race has only been abandoned once in its history. Which year was it?
So. And
when I say abandoned, it was cancelled for foot and mouth, but in this occasion the race started, but there's an abandoned mid-race.
Mm-hmm. So it wasn't foot and mouth. So it is after 2001. Is that foot and mouth? I think so.
Yeah, that rings a bell, yeah.
Yeah. So after 2001, and but before this year's race, which has had to be postponed, and what we're now 2020. So there's a 10-year gap there that you can go for. And I should just let you know that 36 people are currently watching live. So there's still everything to play for, everyone. Well, there's lots of dates coming in now. There's only a 10-year gap. So John's gone for 1969. Well, when was the race started even?
The first one would have been 1970, I believe.
Oh yeah, of course, because it's the 50th anniversary this year. Yeah. Okay, great. So we've got loads and loads of answers coming in. So what's the time? Oh, it's 20 past. I probably should not read everyone's out all the time. And let's just scroll down and see if anybody gets the right answer. So that's the right answer. Okie dokie. Okay, so we've got some new people who I haven't seen before on the live chat. It's actually... Oh, do you want to reveal it, Nigel?
Yeah, so the answer was 2016.
Fantastic. So we've got a Rosie and Sean, new to the live chat, who have guessed the right answer, very closely followed by Abby Norman and Guy Greatorex, who both thought 2016 as well. And I know Guy was researching the Manx Mountain Marathon before this broadcast, so yeah, kudos to him for getting that right. And Jan G got it right as well. So yeah, 4 people got it right there. And then a comedy answer, probably, I think John's just going for the comedy answers here, 1969. He was the first person to do a comedy answer. But Maeve O'Reilly has gone one better. She's gone Year of the Tortoise. Year of the Tortoise. The Chinese Year of the Tortoise. He refused to take part unless the hare was in it. Great. Oh, and John Airy has just said, if it started in 1970 and missed a year, then surely next year is the 50th anniversary.
It's funny you say that. We do have a bit of debate within the committee whether, this year was the 50th or whether it's... Because this year was the 50th since it started, but next year is actually the 50th running of the race.
Okay. Yeah.
But we'll make it a good party anyway.
Yeah, who cares about a little date? Yeah. John says, oh, well, Glastonbury gets away with it. So, yeah. Great. Okay, so next question. Number 5. Go for it.
So number 5. So a lot of people might know a guy called Paul Thompson. He's run the race, or won the race 7 times. And so the question is, which club does he run for?
Oh, so Paul Thompson, is he famous then? Is he quite famous in the Isle of Man?
Yeah, in terms of, in local circles, we all know Paul, yeah.
Yeah, so a good fell runner. And I'm gonna give people a clue. It's a club in the northeast of England. So it could be...
northwest, actually.
Oh, northwest, yeah. I meant northwest. I literally Googled that just before we came on air so that I would know where it was. Yes. Yeah, it's east in that area is what I mean. But yeah, west or northwest of England. So yeah, it's a really celebrated club, isn't it? They have a lot of good fell runners joining. Good junior section as well. And they do a lot of foul racing, this club. So
yeah, they've always been very good to support the event. They always bring a fair few runners over, which is great to see.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got some really good answers coming in. Sebastian Schönenbeck says he thinks it's the local YMCA. They obviously have a club. Maeve thinks it's Manchester United, the football team. Carl thinks it's Jacob's Club. What's Jacob's Club? I don't know what that is. Any more answers? Yeah, lots of people going for Manchester United there. So I think we're going to have to give Seb the comedy point there for the local YMCA. And John says the Bolton Gazettes. This is funny. John Airy says New York Roadrunners. Yep, they come over every year, fly over. Brilliant. So quite a few people have got this right. So do you want to reveal to us the right answer there, Nigel?
Yeah, so the correct answer is Clayton Lamors.
Fab. So Chrissy TV is the winner. She is the one who first posted Clayton Lamors, but we did have some other people getting the answer right as well. So Tom knew the right answer, Tom Hughes. Ian knew the right answer as well. Lots of people thinking it's Manchester. And then, Jan G knows the answer as well. Jeanette says it's a biscuit. Oh, a Jacob's Club. Oh, as in the Jacob's Club that I read out before, that's a biscuit. I see. Very good answer. Cool. Okay, so next question, number 6.
So this one is probably a little more tricky. I can give a clue if need be, but so the Manx Mountain Marathon was actually devised by a Celtic scholar called George Broderick. But he also originated another race. So the question is, apart from the Manx Mountain Marathon, which race did George Broderick devise?
And so he was born a long time ago then, was he?
Yeah, he was actually due to come over to this year's event.
Yeah.
So hopefully he can still make it next year.
Yeah, because I think Joss Naylor knows him, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Because Joss, when I spoke to Joss on the phone, he was like, oh yeah, I could catch up with George and that'd be great. And so does George also speak some of the Manx dialect?
I'd imagine he does, yeah. I must admit, I've never met the guy, but judging by the description I've read, I would imagine he can speak, probably Manx.
Yeah.
Or certainly, the Gaelic language.
Yeah, because when I was asked to come over and do the film of the race, I thought it'd be really cool if there was some Manx, like native Manx spoken on the film. So I was getting in contact with the organisers and saying, does anyone know it? And his name rings a bell. So maybe somebody can also let me know on the live chat if it was him. Lots of people are... so it will give people a clue as well. It's also an island race. So if anybody has any more guesses, a race on a different island that George Broderick has designed. Kurt says the pub crawl. Ian says Laxey Horseshoe. And Tom Hughes keeps answering everything correctly, and Chris is telling him to stop it. Chris Kirk, I'm guessing.
Yeah, well, Chris Kirk has done this race actually, so he should be exempt from the answers.
Yeah, so basically anyone who lives on the Isle of Man, give everyone else a chance. Cool. Guy Greatrex says it's too hard. So I think I'm gonna. Do you want to reveal the answer, and then we'll put everybody out of their misery?
So the answer was Jura.
Cool. So we had Robin said Isle of Man Marathon. Guy Greatrex says the one on Anglesey. John says the Isle of Wight 50. So there's some good guesses coming from people. Yeah. Jeanette has given me a clue. She says, clue, it's my husband's favourite whiskey. Oh, is it? So think of whiskey, everyone. Chrissy says Isle of Skye race. She doesn't know any islands. Robin says Jersey Marathon. There's a lot of imagination gone into these answers. But actually, do you want to reveal the answer, Nigel? And then I'll get the first person who said it who isn't Tom Hughes.
Yes, it was the race George organised was the Jura Fell race. The
Isle of Jura Fell race. I've not done it, but I've heard that it's absolutely amazing, so I would love to do that one. Have you done it yourself, Nigel?
Yeah, it's on my bucket list.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll do it fairly soon, I hope.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to say that Chloe has won that one because she is the first non-native Manx person to answer that question. And let's give... what do you think about Kurt getting the pub crawl? Do you think that's a good comedy answer?
Yeah, I'd say so. I agree with that.
Cool. Okay. So the next question, this is a nice guessing question for everybody. So let's, do you want to read out the answer, the question there?
Yeah, so this is, so there's a race over in the Isle of Man called the Parish Walk, which is actually the biggest mass participation event we have. It's about 1,500 people generally. So that covers 17 parishes. So the question is, how many parishes does the Manx Mountain Marathon pass through?
So this is going to be a complete guess from a lot of people. I don't actually... Oh yeah, the answer is there. So I'm going to give people a clue. It is less than the Parish Walk. That is the clue. And John says, where is the Isle of Jura? So the Isle of Jura is in Scotland. So I'll just Google exactly where it is so that I can tell you. So there's a really good whiskey distillery on it. So it's basically in West Scotland, and it's sort of the same level as Glasgow. So think of Glasgow and then go left, and that is the Isle of Jura. And it has got these two mountains called the Paps of Jura, which actually I think means boobs. So a little bit of trivia for you there. That's my level of quiz knowledge. I'm just going to turn the light on. Okay, we've got loads of numbers coming in. Sebastian Schönenbeck, he's from, remind me where you're from, Sebastian. It's Germany or near that kind of area. He says, what is a parish? What is a parish, Nigel? Do you know what that is? It's like a county type thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose it's, if you take a county then break it down into smaller pieces, it's basically like a parish. So I wouldn't know what the actual UK equivalent would be, whether they have parishes there, but
yeah, that's a parish. It's a small area that is not as big as a county. Okay, so we've got lots of guesses. Do you want to reveal to us the right answer, and I can search through who's got the right one here?
Yeah, so I haven't actually checked the answer, but I'm reliably informed that the answer is 6.
6. Okay, I'm just going to scroll down through the answers and see if anybody has got a 6 here. No one's actually guessed a 6 just yet. But Jeanette says I am right about the Paps, so that's good. And Sebastian says Germany is right. Hey, I remembered correctly. Sebastian has just started supporting me on Patreon, so that's what I know where you live. So thank you so much, Sebastian. It's really, really kind of you. So that's how I know that he lives in Germany, and also the name sort of suggests that kind of area of the world. And John Airy has some more information about parishes. A parish originates in the church, but now it's an area under the control of a parish council. So it used to be a church area. Ah, wow. Carl says a quiz within a quiz. Who knew? Cool. So yeah, maybe in the UK, like we call them boroughs, I think. And Carl has very quickly written 6, and so has Robin, just after I said 6. Okay, well we'll give them a point just for their ingenuity. So that's Robin and Carl get that point. I don't know if there's any comedy answers though. Quick, someone put comedy answers in. No, everyone's just gone for straight numbers. I think let's give Seb a bonus point because he didn't know what a parish was, so he had a disadvantage. So let's give him the comedy point. Cool. You can see how fair this quiz is. It's just totally arbitrary. And the person that wins at the end gets nothing, but the honour of being part of the quiz. So what question are we on now? Is it number 7?
Number 8, I think.
Oh, number 8. Okay, cool. Let's go for it, and I'll try and find a screenshot of it.
So this one's actually fairly difficult, but I would give a clue. We've already mentioned 2 of the answers, or the names of already, so that should give someone a head start. So 5 athletes have recorded a consecutive hat-trick of wins in the Manx Mountain Marathon. Can you name them?
Okay, so everybody should be able to get 2 of these because we have mentioned them during the course of this quiz. So yeah, 1 point for each, and then if any local people want to chip in with the 3 other ones, then go for it. And then if anyone's got any comedy names, Mickey Mouse might have won a couple of times. So yeah, we're looking for the 5 athletes that have recorded a hat-trick of consecutive wins. It would be quite interesting, Nigel, don't you think, if you did this same pub quiz in a pub in the Isle of Man, or after the race at some point? Like, that would be quite fun, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it could be an idea, yeah.
Yeah, and you could see if people did any better than us lot who know nothing. But it's quite a nice learning experience, isn't it, to find out more about the race and the history, because it's got quite a long tradition and history, obviously, with the 50 years. It's an absolutely beautiful route. Okay, so people are telling people not to cheat. Robin's gone for John. I don't know where. Have we talked about a John prior? Maybe it's a misspelling of Joss. So Chrissy's gone for Joss and Ian. Ian's doing the quiz right now.
Ian Collister, yeah.
Yes, but he hasn't won, but he's done it a lot of times. and I just want to point out that John Airy, do you see there's a light switch just behind my shoulder there, Nigel?
Yeah.
Just there. That's a map of Peterborough on my wall there. And John Airy, who's one of my good followers, patrons, he lives just under that light switch. Not literally, but in mapping terms. He lives in a place called Bretton, which is under that light switch. And he's obsessed with the fact that he lives there and I've covered him up with a light switch. He finds it really amusing. Great, so we've got loads of answers. So Guy Greatrex says Lloyd Taggart. That is a great guess, Guy. And Jolanda, also a good guess. We'll see if that's right in a mo. Robin says Joss, Ian, John, Isaac and James. Maybe a couple of those. Carl says Joss, Ian, Alan, Mike and Killian. Oh, that's quite a good guess. Be good to get Killian over there, wouldn't it?
Next year.
Yeah, next year. Philip Haddock says Joss, Ian and the 3 wise men. That's very funny. I like that. Chloe says the Cat in the Hat. Excellent. Tom says Falsey. I don't know who Falsey is. Ian says Joss. Oh no, we're not going to read out Ian's because he blatantly is just he's looking at the race results in front of him here.
Well, he'll
just know. But even so, has he got them all right? Oh no, he hasn't actually got them all right. That's funny. Then Jeanette says the famous 5. Maeve says Big Daddy, Giant Haystacks, Hulk Hogan, Jeff Capes and Boris Johnson. Okay, comedy answer. There we go. Right there. Maeve, you're on fire tonight. That's brilliant. Love that. John Airy's come back. He says no, Parnwell is under the light switch. Bretton is just there. Oh yeah, it's down there, isn't it, Bretton? Okay. So he lives near the light switch. And he's missing the quiz questions. So Jan G says Joss, Paul, Lloyd and Dolly the sheep. Abby Norman says Julian, Dick and George and Timmy. I believe that is the famous 5. So come on then, Nigel, put everybody out of their misery. Who are the 5 people with a hat trick?
A few good guesses. So Lloyd, actually, he's won it several times. I thought, well, at least twice, I think, but he's never won it back to back. So the 2 that we already mentioned were Joss Naylor and Paul Thompson. The other 3 were Mike Short, who I think was British Felvin champion, Brent Brindle and Andy Hauser, who's also one of Paul Thompson's clubmates at Clayton Le Mans.
Ah, cool. That is a tricky question, I think. And so who won that one? I know the comedy answer, and maybe we shouldn't. I think. Philip had a good answer as well. He said Joss and the 3 wise men. Let's give him the point. 10 points to Phil. That's great. Cool. So next one, we're on to number 9.
Yes, this one has a bit of potential for some comedy answers. The locals will probably know it, but so the question is, the southern section of the course begins with the ascent of a hill we call Foillan, but known locally it's called Witch's Hill. So the question is, why is Witch's Hill called Witch's Hill?
Oh, this is really interesting. It's a horrible story. Yeah. Do you just know this? Is this something that everybody on the Isle of Man will know, or did you have to do a bit of digging to find out this?
No, it's quite common Manx folklore. I think you get taught it at schools or told it at schools.
Yeah. It's a horrendous. It's very excitingly macabre, this story. So yeah, the southern section of the course begins with the ascent of Foillan, known as Witch's Hill. How did it get its name?
So it'd be interesting to hear what the non-locals come up with.
Yes, need some creative answers for this one. So think about witches and think about what was done to witches, and oh, we've got some answers coming in. This is a good one from Alex. He says it's shaped like a cauldron. That is an interesting answer. Not quite. Oh, Phil's gone dark. He says, did witches used to get hung there? On better lines, I would say, wouldn't you?
Yep.
So Seb says, named after Jeff Witches, whose house was at the top. That's a good one. Okay, Ian. Maeve says no one knew which hill it was. And that's what Carl's just put as well. No one knows its name, so they all say Witch Hill. I can tell that some people from the Isle of Man are watching. Guy says, Guy's gone dark too. Someone got killed, he says. Chrissy TV. Oh yeah, a cult, some awful human sacrifice. Getting close, guys. Maybe John says, oh, does it always rain and thunder there, regardless of the weather elsewhere? Well, that's a good one, isn't it? And Jeanette, obviously a Terry Pratchett fan. Granny Weatherwax lives at the top. And Robin thinks they got drowned there. Whoa. So, can you reveal the right answer?
Yeah, so there is some debate over, how true this is, but it's certainly folklore over here. So, if he was suspected to be a witch over here, you'd be taken to the top of Witch's Hill. You'd put in a spiked barrel, and then you'd be rolled down the hill. So, if you survived, then you were deemed to be a witch and executed. If you weren't a witch, you die anyway. So it's pretty much a lose situation. But that was the story. Pretty much a lose-lose situation, and similar in every let's find out if they're a witch or not story. It's gruesome, isn't it, that? Yeah. Spiked barrels. Oh, that's absolutely hideous. And so who has won that? We had some good answers. Did you think any were particularly comedic there, Nigel? The ones that I read out? So I think the witch as in Witch Hill is probably a good one. Cool. Okay, let's find that one. Witch Hill. No one. It's either Maeve or Carl. So I'm gonna give it to Carl just because he was second in saying it, but Maeve's already got 2 and Carl's only got 1. So just for fairness, really, gonna give it to Carl. And so who was first? With it. It was rolled down inside about. Ian was first, and nobody who wasn't local got it, but everyone who was local definitely got it. Yeah, awesome. On with the questions. Number 10. So talking of Ian's, the next one is related to a local runner who's now emigrated to New Zealand, actually. We call him the Onion, Ian Gale. So he was actually the first local winner of the race, and he got a mention in the famous book Defeating the Clouds for it. So the question is, in which year did he take that win? So I can probably narrow it down slightly. So the year is between 2000 and 2010. Okay,
Brilliant. So why is he called Ian the Onion? Did I miss that bit?
Yeah, I hear it's because he used to eat raw onions.
Really?
Yeah, like an apple.
Is that something that is done a lot on the Isle of Man?
It's quite uncommon, I think. I don't know anyone else that eats raw onions.
Yeah, no, I don't. I think Joss Naylor eats garlic, just like raw garlic mashed and on toast. Yeah. I
remember, I know Lloyd Taggart used to, when I went away with him last year, actually, with Tom Hughes is also on the quiz, and he used to rub garlic on himself as an insect repellent.
Oh, what?
Which is great.
And an everyone repellent.
Yeah, it's great for him, but not great for us.
Yeah, it's not only an insect repellent, that's like everything repellent. Yeah. He could have done the same rolling in manure. I think if you eat the garlic, it sort of comes out in your sweat as well. So I think you can also repel them that way.
Yeah, I think that's probably a better option.
Yeah, maybe not raw. I do know people who eat raw garlics though. Okay, great. So we've got a lot of answers coming in for this one, and a lot of people just catching up with the whole witch thing. Jeanette says if it was a real witch, the barrel would be empty by the time it got to the bottom. For sure, exactly. And Chloe Mason says that she lives near Pendle Hill, which is famous for witches. Do you know about that one, Nigel, as well?
Yeah, we did. A few of us actually went over to do a race in Barley Village, which went up Pendle Hill, because I remember going to the local pub, and a lot of the beers there are themed on the witch theme.
Yeah, it's an interesting story, isn't it? But obviously, like, very brutal. Yeah. Like 10 or 11 people, wasn't it, that were killed there in the witch trials, the Salem witch trials, in 16 blah blah blah. Great. So I am so pleased about this. Okay, so somebody was doing their homework, like reading up all on the Manx Mountain Marathon before this, and he has actually typed in the right answer first. So what's the right answer, Nigel?
So the year was 2003.
Yay! So Guy Greatorex, boom, 1 point to Guy. Back in the game. It's all to play for, guys. So fantastic. There you go, Guy. Very well done. Lots of other people. He says it's the only question that he knows. Oliver Sykes also got it right. And Seb had already put in 1977 before you said that it was within a certain time frame. And John says only witches eat onions, which is also true. Carl says 1977. No. Robin's gone for 1865. Jeanette says beer and Marmite can also work, as well as garlic. Vitamin B puts them off. Cool. And then there's lots of chat about running up Pendle. Oh, and Jeanette's corrected me there. She said the Salem witch trials were in Salem in America. The Pendle witch trials were in Pendle. Thanks. Obviously did not research that at all. Just blathered it out, soz people. Thanks, Jeanette. It's always good to have a fact checker in our midst. Cool. So I don't know if we had any comedy answers for that one. I think maybe John, only witches eat onions, which wasn't even really an answer. Should we go for that one?
That'll do.
2 more questions, guys. 2 more questions. And then we've all got to all go and have some dinner. So the next question, Nigel, go for it.
Okay, so the next one's multiple choice, so you've at least got a 1 in 3 chance of getting the correct answer. So I had to research this myself today, but so the question is, which peak is considered the home of the Manx sea god, Manannán mac Lir? And the 3 choices are 1, Snaefell, 2, South Barrule, or 3, North Barrule.
Ooh, that is a tricky one. So Snaefell, North Barrule, or South Barrule. All fine mountains. Yeah, and that was interesting. When I ran with Jan, on the second day of the Raad na Foillan path, she told me about Manannan, because there was a mist in the air and it was all cloudy, and she said that's Manannan had his cloak on, and she told me that in the ancient days when people were trying to find the Isle of Man to invade it, then Manannan's cloak would come down and they wouldn't be able to find it, and then they'd have to just sail off again.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, there is actually the Bushies brewery do a beer now and again called Manannan's Cloak.
Oh, cool. I'll have to try that one.
It is quite surreal sometimes, yeah, because it's normally, I think, late summer you get it, and you could be in sort of Douglas, and like there's literally a big thick sea mist all around the coast, and then you'll walk literally 100 yards up the road and it's clear completely, but I think it's just an island thing,
yeah, and it's not cold, like, well, in the summer it's not cold, it's just misty, and so I was sort of kind of slightly damp but just warm as well. Yeah, cool. Okay, so we have lots of answers coming in. Oh, some people have just put 1, 2 or 3, or A, B or C, and some people have put the mountain name. So would you like to reveal which peak is considered the home of the Manx sea god Manannan MacLear?
Yeah, so the answer was number 2, actually, which was South Barrule.
South Barrule. Cool. So lots of people, Jeanette's put G. There was no G, Jeanette. Carl Lowther is the first person to put B. So that's South Barrule. So Carl wins the point. Well done, Carl. And then if anyone's put anything amusing, Jan also knew that it was South Barrule. Robin put number 2, so she got it right as well. Chloe knew it. She said South Barrule. Ian said South Barrule as well. Maeve said number 2. Guy said Manannan. And some people thought it was North Barrule. And lots of people now chatting about the sea mist and the fact that driving in it is bad. Carl says yes. Yeah, Carl got a point. Great. There was no comedy to be had out of that because it was just multiple choice. But we'll have to give it to Jeanette for saying G. At least she tried. Cool. So we come to our last question, guys, and then I'll add up the scores and decide who's the winner. So the last question I could probably do with getting this thing up. Do you want to read it out, Nigel?
Yeah, so the last question is, assuming you can see the picture, is where am I in the thumbnail pic?
So where am I in this picture, everybody? So if you're from the Isle of Man, you might know this. But I took this picture in July for anybody else who's been watching my YouTube channel recently, and it is a picture of me drinking a pint after a good long day of running. So if you've been watching my YouTube channel over the course of the year, in July I did a special trip. It was a 100-mile trip, and there's a bit of a clue on the beer as well as to where I might be. And yeah, so if you can guess the name of the pub, then brilliant, but if you can guess the town that I'm in, then great. And it's the town that I am in has a special significance for the race that we've been talking about, the Manx Mountain Marathon. So yeah, see if you know it. So where am I in this picture? So yeah, there's three answers. You could get the country, the town, and the pub. So lots of people are saying you're behind the camera, which is very clever. And Jeanette says maybe I'm behind the bar. No, I wasn't actually behind the bar. Phil says I'm in the pub. Very good detective work there. So Chloe's gone for Ramsey. Give you a clue, it's not Ramsey. Tom says that I'm enjoying betel nuts. I don't know what betel nuts are. Do you know what they are?
Yeah, they're like a substance you can get in certain countries like Myanmar. And they make you a little bit crazy.
Oh, okay. No, I was only enjoying some pints. And John thinks I was in Laxey. Carl thinks I was in the Rover's Return. Yeah, get me dangly earrings out. John also thinks that I'm in the Cherry Orchard. And Oren was looking for Nigel in the picture. So yes, as anyone. And Antonio Cardinelli says hello. Hello, thank you for joining us, Antonio. Yes, so can you reveal to everybody where I am? Do you know where this is, which pub it is, Nigel? Can you tell? I'm pretty sure, yeah. Thing?
I've frequented a few pubs up here, and I think that was the Bay Hotel in Port Erin.
It is indeed. That was me in the Bay after day 2, where I ran with Jeanette Gledhill, and she told me all about the Manannan's Cloak and about the there was a black rock, was it an obsidian type rock as well, and she told me loads about the wildlife and everything. It was an amazing day, and then at the end I just popped into this pub because it started raining before I went to stay with my next people. So it was delicious, this pint, and it's at the Bay. And Jan has got that right. Oh, is that you, Jan? Maybe it's you. She'll definitely know because she deposited me there. And quite a few other people got that right as well. So Oliver Sykes got that right, the Bay Hotel, Port Erin. And Jeanette says she thinks people chew betel nuts. They're a stimulant or maybe an appetite suppressant. Oh, I need some of them if they're an appetite suppressant. And Ian has clocked it immediately. Chloe said I look very fresh if I've just raced. No, I wasn't racing. I was just jogging along at a really nice pace. I think I probably did like 10 or 12 miles that day. It was a really great day. Loved it. Past the Calf of Man, and me and Jeanette had a cake in the calf, like little cafe thing. That was amazing. Yes, it is Jan. Jan's watching. So this is the lady who I ran with on day 2 here live watching us. Thanks, Jan, and good job you got that question right. We'll put Jan there. So we just need to choose a comedy answer. What should we choose? What about we've got a choice of behind the bar, in the pub, behind the camera, or Rover's Return. What do you want, Nigel?
Well, I'd say maybe behind the camera. I think a lot of people were saying they're looking for a tiny version of me in the photograph.
Yeah, they were. Behind the camera. Okay, so that is Robin. She has won the point for behind the camera. Robin. Cool. Okay, so that is all of the questions, guys, and thank you loads to Nigel here for preparing such an insightful, I would say, and interesting and very hard set of questions for us all. I think I've learnt loads, and I think everybody else has too. So I have made a list of the winners just here because it's very professional pub quiz this. So basically I now look through it and go, oh, who's got the most right? So the person, there's not really a person who's got the most right. John has got a lot of comedy questions right, and Seb and Maeve. There's not really an overall winner here, so maybe we need to pronounce everybody the winner. What do you think?
Yeah, it's good luck with that. I couldn't really tell.
Yeah, I can't really tell who's won.
We'll have to call it a draw.
Yes, let's call it a draw. So everybody, you're all the winners just for taking part. So yeah, so well done to everyone. And lots of people are saying that they've really enjoyed the quiz. Jeanette says, was that the only reason that I went to the pub, because it was raining? Of course, I would never go into a pub if it wasn't for shelter. Nothing to do with crisps and beer. And Oliver Sykes says it's called the Sound Cafe. Oh, of course it's called the Sound Cafe, not the Calf Cafe. It's a cafe at the calf. Jeanette's just looked up betel nuts and they're carcinogenic, so no one try those. Okay, so we're not recommending betel nuts as a group here. And lots of people are saying thanks to Nigel. So John says, thanks, Nigel. Chris says, well done, Nigel. Yeah. And Guy says, thanks, Nigel. Every day is a school day. Great host. Thank you. And Jeanette says, yay, we're all winners. Ian says, yay. Carl says, it looks like I won, but we'll go with a draw. Thanks, Carl. That's very magnanimous of you. And Chrissy TV said, yeah, I won. Everyone's won. And Seb says, the prize is the friends we made along the way. Oh, I like that. That's very nice. Oren says, well done, guys, fun quiz. And Chloe says, all the best, Nigel, for the rescheduled race as well. Thanks both, great quiz. And Chrissy TV says, I love the flexibility and freedom at Wild Ginger Running quiz. Yeah, unintentional. Ian says, thank you and good fun. Philip says, thanks, Nigel. Jan says, thanks, folks. Maeve says, happy Friday, everyone. Sorry you had to cancel the race, Nigel. Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it? But it will be back next year, and will it still be the 50th next year, or will it be the 51st by then?
Well, I think we'll still call it the 50th because it sounds better, and we could always play with the rules and say, well, it is actually the 50th running rather than the 50th year.
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
But either way, we'll have it. It's going to be a good party, great event. So record entry, hopefully.
Yeah, I think that will be full, won't it, by then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it already was, unfortunately, a record entry. It was cancelled, so I'm sure everyone that entered this year are going to carry over to next year, and you may get even more. So we're all positive.
Yeah, fantastic. Oh, that's so good. Well, I'm so pleased that you were able to come on tonight and do the quiz with us. It's been really great to learn more about the Isle of Man and the Manx Mountain Marathon in general, and maybe we'll have a few people come over and watch the race and spectate and just run in the beautiful hillside there, because it is absolutely stunning countryside and mountainside there.
Yeah, it's good. I've learned a few things today myself as well doing the quiz.
Brilliant.
Research.
That's really cool. Cool. Well, thank you so much, and good night, everybody. Stay safe and keep running as long as we're allowed to, or your country allows you to. And hopefully see you all next year for the Manx Mountain Marathon. And thank you to Nigel. Way.
All right. Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Woo. Bye.